Hey everyone, it's 4:04 a.m. I'm Kyle.
I'm Mike.
I'm Erin.
And tonight on the Sleepy Nerds podcast, Mike's fighting a duck the size of a man.
What?
1, 2, 3, listen.
How's everyone doing tonight?
Fucking tired.
Yep.
You know, I was like, I'm gonna swear less tonight.
Nope.
First thing out of my mouth after my
Already
name. Yep.
Yep. Well, so we do.
Mike, how was your salad?
Shut the fuck up, Kyle.
Do you?
Mike I'm not gonna shut up. Mike was eating a delicious looking salad out of a mason jar tonight.
Do you feel the mason jar enhanced the flavor?
Yeah, as much as glass could
This
enhance
is the,
the flavor
first
of
40
lettuce.
minutes of our podcast.
As
Mike,
much
get
as
used to it.
glass could enhance the flavor of lettuce.
Mike, this is the salad episode of the podcast, so you better get used to this.
Yeah.
Alright.
Does that mean every episode's going to be the salad episode?
Pretty much.
Every episode's the salad episode.
Fuck.
Next week, iceberg versus romaine.
Alright.
Ranch or
Tonight-
Caesar?
Fight.
Children. Tonight, I thought we would discuss current popular trend in film, in comics for a long time too, I guess. Where it started. Talk about shared universes.
Gross.
I know. And what works, what doesn't work in a shared universe, which film franchises we think don't deserve a shared universe, and which ones we think do deserve a shared universe, even if they don't have one. I think we'd obviously start with the most popular shared universe right now.
Transformers.
Yeah, the Universal Monsters Dark Universe. Starring Tom Cruise. And that's pretty much it.
Didn't
Ugh.
I don't want to get into that again.
Oh no. What do you want to do?
Didn't we decide that the Dark Monsters and the Universal Monsters were two separate ones?
No,
Isn't that what it was explained to me at 5 a.m. yesterday?
Dark Universe is Universal's attempt at putting all their monsters back into one franchise. Warner Brothers and the monsters, like Big Monsters Godzilla universe,
Okay.
is their attempt to put all the big Godzilla and King Kong together.
Does that one have a name? The
Not
Godzilla
yet, I don't
King
think,
Kong?
right? Is it just the monster universe?
I think just like Monster Universe. I'm not sure if there's
Monster
an official...
Universe A and B.
Yeah.
Monster
Well,
Universe
'cause,
1,
no,
Monster Universe A.
The Universal one is called the Dark Universe Cinematic
Much
Universe.
to the chagrin of DC.
Yeah. It's the Dooku. The Dark Universe Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
Catchy.
Yeah. And then the one with Godzilla and King Kong and Mothra and all that, I think it's just the Monsterverse.
Monsterverse.
Or something like
Mothra.
Yeah.
If Mothra were in it, I'd be on board. When does
Mothra's
Godzilla
gonna be in
sequel.
it.
is going to be?
Yeah.
He hasn't been yet though.
No.
No.
She hasn't been yet.
Whatever.
Mothra has been teased in the first Godzilla, the remake.
I don't
No,
want teases. I want Mothra.
They were teased in Kong. There was a
Were
post-credit scene in Kong of Skull Island where there
It's
was
Mothra, Rodan, and Ghidorah, right?
Yeah, there was cave paintings in a cave that Monarch from the Godzilla film found, where there were cave paintings of Godzilla and Kong and Mothra and the other Godzilla monsters. And that's how they're going to tie
I
it all
hope
together.
then I didn't see the movie, but I hope it panned over a little bit more in like Jet Jaguar was the last one,
Yes.
and I need Jet Jaguar to be the hero of all the
Absolutely.
movies.
100% agree. Can we also agree that would be a good, like, it's a good idea for an expanded universe, but
Okay, we've
not
strayed from the
practice.
from universe. We're gonna delay talking about Tom Cruise as long as possible tonight.
no, we're not talking about Tom Cruise. I'm
No, I know,
talking
that's why we're
about
delaying.
Godzilla.
We're gonna get back to Godzilla.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a really good idea with possibly like, diminishing returns because after he fights King Kong, and then in the Godzilla sequel, which is 2019, I think, or next year, 2018.
I'm not sure.
2018, 2019, who cares?
It's coming soon.
Who cares? Like, we'll bing it later. Godzilla is fighting Rodan, Mothra, and King Ghidorah in one movie. And then
Sequel, Jet Jaguar.
And then in 2020, it'll be Godzilla versus King Kong. But
So-
where does it go after that?
I thought King Kong was in the next one.
No, he's not.
Well,
Okay.
I think that's a fair point, is like, where does it go? But I also think that the only purpose of having a monster expanded universe is just to pair them up in different ways to have them fight each other, right?
Yeah,
The-
I mean,
Like
essentially.
that's all that you want, that crossover. Like the Lego
I mean, that's-
movies.
that's the history of the entire
crossovers-
Godzilla franchise
Yeah, you
is-
just want to see like
two monsters fight.
right. You
Or
just
as many
wanna see two
monsters
people
as
from different
possible.
universes fight each other. Like
yeah.
The
go
biggest
different
problem
roles.
I see with the MonsterVerse now is the
terrible.
most recent. It's not terrible. Shut up. The most recent Godzilla movie took place in modern day, right?
Mm-hmm.
The King Kong movie took place in Vietnam War era.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what? I don't understand why they would do that.
He's been in therapy since then for PTSD flashbacks.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they
And
just
like he's
make,
going to emerge in 2018.
If they-
fully
if
recovered.
they had
King
a-
Kong's just gonna have a lot of war flashbacks of like mowing people down from a Huey.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me that if they were going the route of making this a
Mm-hmm.
universe, why would they have them at different time periods?
I think just to establish a history, like kind of like an unearned history,
But they,
so they could talk about Monarch being around like for a long time.
yeah, but that was implied in Godzilla when they showed footage of Monarch
Yeah, I
from World
didn't
War
like that.
II.
Yeah.
Like they didn't
Yeah.
need to go back and show, and they only showed Monarch and King Kong. It was a post-credit scene. Like
Well,
it just
and that sort of also brings up the kind of question. Although they sort of made it in Godzilla as like, oh, it's a top secret government agency, but like, and I didn't see the latest King Kong because it looked awful. But of being like, if it was around and known in the Vietnam War era,
Mm-hmm.
then like, how do we make it to 2017? And like, was no one surprised to see Godzilla? Were they just like, oh, it's another one of those monsters? Like, we're not
just-
surprised because we know these things exist.
like the
Well, no, I mean, I think it's like just the idea is that like a very small group of people know that like King Kong existed, that like actually made it off the island.
yeah
And I think in the end of the
Just like
film,
a
they end up
handful.
joining Monarch.
yeah
okay.
yeah.
So
But like, I don't know. It's just very strange.
I'm okay with it. I mean, I think they just wanted to do like not another movie in the same like modern period. I mean, I honestly think they just wanted to make a Vietnam era film.
But it wasn't like the biggest. It wasn't even like really focused on like the soldiers that they had in the movie were like just getting ready to leave Vietnam, and they got recruited for this research project for Monarch, and that was it. That was about all that they
I-
touched on.
I could be mistaken. I remember reading a quote from the director of the new King Kong that he had like a image in his head of King Kong like outlined by the sun with these like helicopters coming down.
Yeah, and that's in the movie.
And it's in the movie.
It's
And
in
I
the
think
trailer,
I think he actually approached the studio wanting to make it a Vietnam film.
Uh-huh.
I think he just wanted to make a Vietnam film.
But again,
I could be
said,
completely wrong. But
I mean, you
But
know,
why?
Hearing that based on what I saw in the movie, yeah, that makes sense. But it didn't have to be a Vietnam era movie. Like, if they were trying to make this universe, it didn't make sense for the time periods to be totally different. Because by the time you get to Godzilla fighting King Kong, most of the people that survived in the King Kong movie probably won't be in that sequel, or they'll just make them really old.
They'll be in the first scene. They'll be super old, and they'll immediately get stepped
do
on.
you
and
think
smashed.
like contractually it was impossible because that movie was like Brie Larson and Tom Hiddleston, and they're like, there's no way they're gonna come back off of Avengers stuff to do like another fucking giant monkey movie?
Maybe. I don't
Like, do you think
know.
of like if Tom Hiddleston's options were like $2 million for the next King Kong film, or like $17.5 million to show up as Loki for 5 minutes in the Thor sequel?
Do you think
But-
that we're giving the studio way too much credit, and they're just scrambling to call something an expanded universe, but just trying to make anything successful enough to sustain that and cash in on it?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Next
I
point.
mean, so I think overall this works. I think it works as a shared universe.
Yeah.
I just don't know how long it could sustain itself. I think after Godzilla vs. King Kong, that's like the logical end of the universe.
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on how many of the classic Godzilla villains they want to throw in there.
But I mean, again, like how many Godzilla? I mean, King Kong has no villains. First of all, besides like just random dinosaurs and like prehistoric monsters.
Yeah.
Giant centipedes.
Yeah, and Godzilla. I mean, after he fights Rodan, King Ghidorah, and Mothra. I mean, arguably, he has more like memorable bad. You know, there's like Mechagodzilla and
Yeah.
Ghidorah and like all those people,
Jaguar.
and Jaguar, obviously. Yeah, where does it go after that? So I don't know.
How good do you think are my chances as a fan of seeing a standalone Mothra movie?
Like,
Slim
like
to none.
like a
in my
new one?
lifetime.
Like a new one?
Yeah.
Probably Slim. I mean, there's 3 very good old ones you could watch.
I want a new one
Uh-huh.
with new age effects making all the sparkles.
Nah, not gonna happen. There's no way.
So,
So that's the movie universe.
all right, on the flip side, speaking of universes that can
Monster
sustain
universe.
themselves, I mean, let's get to the most popular one.
Yeah, you were
Edge of
going
Thor.
for Marvel before I totally derailed you.
No, I was
so.
going for Marvel before I made a shitty Dark Universe joke.
Right.
So Marvel, I mean, what's left to say about it? It's very successful to a fault. I think maybe on the TV, maybe the cable TV side, not as much. I mean,
Yeah, they really want to be, but they.
Shield's hit and miss. Agent Carter, I thought was really good, but only lasted 2 seasons. Inhumans looks
I
bad.
I feel like maybe now they're kind of a little full of themselves and they're starting to take some risks that probably aren't going to pan out, like the Cloak and Dagger series or the New Warriors one. As much as I know you're excited to see
got me.
Squirrel Girl, I don't think it's going to do well. at all.
I think you're leaving at Night Thrasher, who I'm most excited about.
I feel like what's happening with New Warriors is like they saw the success of Guardians of the Galaxy and they were like, well, with these like nobody characters and ridiculous things like Rocket Raccoon that no one thought could make a successful movie, and then it was a huge success. Let's do another thing exactly like that and like try to catch that lightning in a bottle.
Yeah,
again.
but that's pushing it too much.
It's supposed to be like
I
a
think.
superhero
Yeah, I
comedy,
agree.
but don't you think they should have learned from like Powerless? Like, are people just
I
not
like-
ready for
Yeah,
superhero
and-
comedy?
I liked Powerless. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I thought it was alright too. I only saw a couple episodes, but I thought it was like just fun and sort of alright and wasn't like super serious.
Yeah.
But
I'm just not sure like what relationship a straight up superhero comedy could have to the I mean, the Marvel universe is inherently funnier than like the DC universe because I
Yeah,
think was
absolutely.
Powerless supposed to take place in the
Yeah.
was it?
But the thing was, none of the characters were superheroes. They
I
weren't.
know the concept of the show. I'm just
Yeah.
saying like if it was supposed to take place in the universe of like Batman, Superman, Suicide Squad.
I don't
which
know
are
about
just,
that.
Like, dour
I thought you
and
meant, like, the
completely
TV
humorless.
show.
I don't
DC
even know if it
universe.
took place within the CW
Yeah.
They
universe.
didn't, no.
No, I don't think it took. I think it was its own thing
Okay.
because they reference heroes, like they reference the main heroes, but then they also reference a lot of heroes that there's no chance of ever seeing.
Well, I know like
in the
Alan
movie.
Tudyk is Bruce Wayne's cousin in the show.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
And-
So
yeah,
like,
so they reference Bruce Wayne all the time.
So-
Yeah.
okay.
And then the like one of the main heroes that you see in the city where this company is Crimson Fox. And there's no way in hell you'll ever see that character in
No,
one of those
not at all.
DC
Well,
universe.
you told me
Well,
who was
I mean-
the character in the episode I watched that you were like,
Fire, and they changed.
yeah,
her name,
yeah, they
Yeah.
like just totally changed.
Where they
her
call her
around.
Green Fury, right?
Something like that.
Which
Yeah,
I think is
yeah,
her
that's what it
original name
was.
in the comic.
Yeah.
Right.
But again, there's no chance in hell you'll see that character in the movie universe.
Well, I mean, you could argue that about the Marvel TV shows. I doubt we'll ever see Phil Coulson return. I don't think
Probably
we'll ever
not.
see
Nope.
Daredevil fight alongside. I mean,
But we know for a fact that those take place within
They
the
take place
universe.
Do you
Yeah.
think?
for sure.
Do you think having an expanded universe makes it fundamentally harder to have a comedy show in the same universe? Because you
think
can't
it's-
just sort of play for gags when you're relating this to something that's like, okay, 80,000 people died in this
Right.
event, and it's like,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
not
but
And I-
over in this town, we're all just having a good time.
And I think that's why in Powerless it wasn't in the same universe because they never referenced any of the stuff that happened in the movies.
I think
Well, and they could do a lot of gags about like, oh, Bruce Wayne, like, where is he all the time?
where do
Ha,
you
ha,
think
ha.
where do you think Marvel succeeds in the shared universe? I mean, besides their core movies, which are very well connected.
Yeah.
The longer it goes on, the more it's starting to fray for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of things are just popping up that are like, well, it is just like you have one movie that's a flop and you try and tie it in with everything else still, and it's like
You could say Thor.
We know.
I was thinking Age of Ultron, but
Yeah.
Age of
Well,
Ultron
that's
it had its moments.
Age
but
of Ultron did flop.
I never
mean-
I have told you this many times.
Oh,
I
Shia
So,
LaBeouf
so
skipped.
Shia LaBeouf arrest alert. 1 second, guys.
is he? Give us the alert.
He's still free.
Okay.
He's still yeah.
So, what the hell were we saying? Oh, so you have one movie that you're like, yeah, I don't really like the plot, and like I'd like to just sort of like pretend that didn't happen. But then for the next at least one movie, probably 2 or 3,
It's the biggest tie-in.
yeah, they're going to be referencing the events of that
Yeah.
over and over, and you sort of have to deal with that fallout in a way.
I think
So-
the best chances of connectivity in the Marvel Cinematic Universe are the Netflix shows, because
Yeah.
they reference the movies without having any like direct or major connection. Like
Right. And yeah, I like the way they've sort of done that, which is like, all their heroes have been sort of street level heroes, so it makes sense that they're not like, oh, I'm going to go off and fight with the Avengers now.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, well, the city got destroyed and we sort of have to deal with that as a fact of life,
Right.
but we're not going to put it back together
Yeah.
ourselves.
I would love to see those heroes all together. I would love to see Daredevil fighting alongside Spider-Man, but the chances of it happening are probably slim.
Yeah. Do you think it's more likely that one of the heroes from the TV show will make an appearance in one of the movies, or someone from one of the movie universe shows up in one of the TV shows, given that neither of those is actually going to happen?
I think more likely the latter, just because it's already happened with like Kobe Smulders and Sam Jackson showing up in S.H.I.E.L.D. And I also think just because of the nature of how TV is filmed versus a movie, it'll be much easier for an actor to fit into their schedule showing up on a TV show that will reflect on the events of a film, rather than a TV actor going to a movie that might take like a year to make, and something might happen in that movie that affects the character, then the TV show would have to wait months and months and months for that to be reflected.
Like the first season of
Yeah,
Agents of
like the first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where it took them 16 episodes just to reach the shock that, S.H.I.E.L.D. was infiltrated by Hydra.
I think actually that would be an interesting sort of dramatic irony to have something like Daredevil show up in an Avengers movie and something dramatic happens to him, and then Charlie Cox goes back and is filming the show knowing whatever this thing is that's about to happen, but neither the audience nor the character that he's filming knows that.
I think that'd work better for like a character like Daredevil in a Netflix model, because Netflix can control when the entire season comes out.
Yeah,
That's true. Yeah, they don't have to deal with doing it like halfway through the season or 2/3 of the way through.
Yeah,
the
that's
season.
why-
and a winter break and a...
Yeah, that's why I was saying I think that the best chance of them crossing over would be with the Netflix shows, because the Netflix shows are so flexible with when they can come out in comparison to the movies, like as opposed to like the network shows where they're on a set schedule.
I mean, kind of a follow-up question, like, do we even want that to happen, though?
I
Want
still
what to happen? Oh, a crossover?
Like, as cool as it would be in Infinity War to have this big, epic shot of, like, a camera whipping around New York, and, Iron Man's in the sky fighting Thanos, and that, like, Doctor Strange is opening portals, and Star-Lord's jumping through them, and Spider-Man's swinging around, and then it cuts to, like, Daredevil beating up, like, who? Like, is Daredevil just gonna be beating up, like, a random, like,
I think it would be
alien?
cool
But that's
as
what
a
they-
very small thing. If they were like, leaping or portaling through New York and there was just a shot of Matt Murdock walking down the street, or of like Daredevil, in an alley beating someone up and he not looks up, but straightens up. But that was it.
God damn it, her.
I'm sorry, has no one told
Yeah,
that he's
yeah.
blind? Is that breaking news?
I just want to like. I mean, that's how they handle it in the comic books anyway, right? Like,
Besides the fact that, like, we just want to see it,
Right.
but like
That doubles back to our sort of conversation, Kyle and you and I had the other day, that when you have all this expanded material and there are things in a movie or a TV show or anything that like you have to read all the material to get, it is like we would want to see that. But if there's someone who's going to see Infinity War who doesn't watch all the Netflix series and isn't into the entire huge universe, and then they're like, what's with that?
So a total asshole is what you're saying.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but they're just like, why was there one reaction shot of a dude in a red leather suit? Like, what was that about?
Yeah, I guess in that respect it makes sense, but then you also have to think like Marvel doesn't care, because they've made I'm serious, like with there are Marvel movies that people don't see. Like there are people that don't watch the Thor movies, but arguably the Thor movies have had the biggest impact on the MCU so far. Some of the biggest.
I need
How-
you to expand
how
on
so?
that.
Like with just the okay, with
Well, I think we all remember the impact from the Dark Elves invading London.
well,
like-
not necessarily like impact from the events, but impact as far as setup. Like they've done a lot of Infinity Stone stuff in the Thor movies.
Oh, okay.
And there are people that just haven't seen those. Like there are people that
Full
totally.
disclosure, I have never made it through a Thor movie.
But they're they're a thing. There are people who have no idea that the Aether is an Infinity Stone and it's with the Collector, or like there are
What's
no.
the Aether? Just kidding.
But like that's the thing. They're like, but Marvel doesn't care. Like they don't
Yeah.
care if you don't see it. They're gonna keep doing it anyway. Like they're still gonna make references to other things that have happened, regardless if there are people who have seen it or not. So I think, in that respect, it would be like, if they decided to put Netflix characters on in the movies, they won't care if people have seen them or not.
So what the fuck happened with the DC? What's going on?
You want to narrow that question down a little bit? That could be an entire episode.
Yeah.
So.
What are they doing so wrong? In my opinion, okay. In most people's opinions, what's DC doing wrong?
They're doing it backwards.
They
How? What,
Like, okay, full
no,
disclosure-
explain that statement. They're doing
They
what
don't-
backwards?
DC doesn't have to do what Marvel is doing, but someone said it before. I think they had a good point. What DC is doing from going from Man of Steel to like Batman vs Superman is like if they made the first Avengers movie after Iron Man.
Yeah.
It just there's just too much. I think they're very scared of being behind,
I agree.
and they're just trying to get shit done.
I think that's true, but I don't agree with the statement of going, from Iron Man to Avengers. I think they're scared of being behind. I feel like what they're doing is sort of seeing Marvel's success like through a keyhole. They're seeing parts of it and they're seeing the end result and they're trying to copy that instead of being like, okay, how did they do this? How did they go about building this up?
They're trying to get the end result without putting in the work.
Yeah, and so they're like, oh, well, let's just make like a team up movie. Like they were successful with that. And it's like, okay, well, why were they successful with that? It doesn't matter because it was a team up movie. So we'll do that and it'll be successful. And
In DC's defense, the route they're going for the Justice League team up movie worked well in the comic books. Like the route that they're going where the heroes have never met before and they're working together to stop the evil it can be done. I just think they're doing it
I like that.
backwards.
Like I liked that in War,
Yeah.
like in the animated,
That's fine. I mean, that's fine to have it set up that way. I just feel to me personally, I feel like Batman Superman did much more harm than good to the universe.
Yeah.
In terms of setting up, there's 3 mini trailers in the middle of the third act for no reason, and I feel like they could if this is what they were going to
That
do with
was
Justice
weird.
League, they could have cut out all of that and just had Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. And then had, they could have cut her entire scene out with her emails that she inexplicably got. And then, the Justice League just could have started with that, maybe.
Yeah.
It could have started with, like, oh, here, here's some emails, here's some files, here, let's look footage of this guy, Aquaman. They show the clip, and then they cut to Aquaman being, like, on the Bruce Wayne, like, oh, and then there's this, young man, Barry Allen. And they cut to him.
Yeah.
That's true. I feel like it's like those scenes would have worked if we were watching like a TV show or something, or if we were watching a Batman movie. It was very like slice of life. It's like, hey, this has nothing to do with the plot that you're watching, but we're gonna throw this in because like this happened to Bruce Wayne too. And you're like, okay, so how does that affect what's going on with Superman, Lex Luthor? Oh, it doesn't.
I think the biggest problem with the DC cinematic universe is Warner Brothers. I think that the fact that DC doesn't have their own film studio like Marvel does means that they don't have full control over what's being produced.
Yeah.
I mean, when you have people writing superhero scripts who have never read a superhero story in their life, that's a problem. Like, and that was the clear problem with Suicide Squad. The fact that Suicide Squad had at least 3 different final cuts is a problem.
And
I can't believe
one of
they're
those
doing a
cuts
second
made
one.
by Trailer Farm. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and again, the fact that there were scenes in the Suicide Squad trailers that were nowhere in the movie, like
The movie was just a mess to begin with, and I like Batman. I'm biased, so it's if they want Batman to be the character whose eyes we see the DC universe through, I'm fine with that. I almost feel like I don't know, Batman. I don't get why he was in Suicide Squad. Like, I don't get why any of the Joker stuff was in Suicide Squad. It didn't go anywhere. I don't get why Enchantress was in Suicide Squad. I don't get why Amanda Waller in the film created the Suicide Squad to deal with a Superman level threat.
yeah,
And her best, El Diablo makes sense.
Yeah.
He's at least, meta powered, like.
right.
But Killer Croc's just ugly. Harley Quinn just has a baseball bat.
It's crazy.
Captain Boomerang is just Jai Courtney. I don't.
I mean, did he have a boomerang?
I didn't pay attention.
He had boomerangs.
I actually,
Yeah, so it's Jai Courtney with
actually
boomerang.
zoned out as soon as Jai Courtney was on screen.
That seems accurate to your character.
He is a void.
There were just a lot of problems with Suicide Squad, and I think the studio too much involvement from. I think DC needs to form their own film studio like Marvel has with Marvel Entertainment or Marvel Film, and have control over their characters, because like Justice League is it Justice League or is it Batman that had the first involvement? Script writing is from like Jeff Johns or anybody that's actually written a comic book before. I don't think Suicide Squad did. I don't think
No.
Batman vs Superman did. Like,
No.
who were those all Goyer?
I think they were all Goyer.
And
Which,
there are so many publications that have said that Goyer has admitted to have never reading a comic book in his life.
Ugh.
It's like, how can you write a comic book movie?
Goyer's a... God, this could be a whole episode itself, too. Goyer's such a weird guy.
Yeah.
Like, he's written stuff I like, and I think he's been really important to the, like, comic book movies, like, coming into the, like, the light.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's been important. But then he also did Blade Trinity. And he did the fucking He did the Ghost Rider movies, right? Like, he at least helped them, I want to say.
I don't know.
I know the second one was definitely, like, directed by, like, Neville Dean Taylor. I don't know, like, what his involvement
Showed
was.
up and just stood on set. Like, hey,
But-
see what you're doing here.
But like, going back to Suicide Squad, that's the thing. Like, there were so many things from the release of the first trailer to the release of the movie, the actual movie, that were changed that didn't need to be changed. Like they did a whole series of reshoots just to add comedy into the movie. And like I think that was one of the problems. Like they were
Has that ever worked? A
No.
movie going through reshoots to add in comedy?
no.
Like Doctor Strange did that too, and it was just like very awkward. Or that was a
Yeah, but that
scriptwriter
wasn't
or
That
a
was
reshoot?
weird. That was
Weird.
that was like what's his face being brought in? Dan Harmon, right?
Yeah.
But
brought
that
in to make jokes for the movie, and man, those jokes stuck out.
but at least it wasn't as bad as Suicide Squad.
yeah,
Like
Nothing was
Suicide
as bad as Suicide.
well, like
I mean-
it wasn't as noticeable.
we're gonna off
in my
topic.
opinion,
We're gonna off
yes.
topic.
We are.
Uh,
DC sucks. No.
no,
As an expanded universe.
I want
Sure.
Justice League to be so good.
I do too.
I don't want any of these movies to be bad. Like Justice League, I've wanted since I was a little kid watching
Yep.
the Justice League cartoon.
Yeah,
I've
same
always
here.
wanted live action Batman Superman.
Yeah.
I wasn't happy. I mean, the director's cut of Batman vs Superman,
It was better than the theatrical cut.
marginally. I mean, the connections it made to like making a more expanded universe was like Jimmy Olsen being introduced and shot in the head.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's one way of like introducing
mean-
like an expanded universe. Like, look at all these great character groups we have to assassinate.
Banged.
Yeah, but Man of Steel. None of the movies feel like they take place anywhere, like like within the world. Like Man of Steel doesn't feel like Batman vs Superman takes place after it. It doesn't feel like it takes place in the same world. Like Suicide Squad doesn't feel like it takes place in the same world as Batman vs Superman.
That one, not at all. Like you could argue that Batman vs Superman feels like it takes place after Man of Steel just because they reference it several times. But Suicide Squad, I couldn't tell you. Other than Ben Affleck showing up, I couldn't tell you that they took place at the same
like,
time.
It just feels so tonally different. Even besides just being like very gray and grimdark and like edgelordy, like it just doesn't feel like it's cohesive. And
Yeah.
I mean, even Wonder Woman. I mean, Wonder Woman was obviously the best DC film so far, just in
Yeah.
terms of quality. Even if the story was a little meh, like they got her character right. I want to see more of her.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe her character being done well is more important than the movie being good. On it, man, right?
Or maybe a character being good drags a lot, or like drags the plot along with it.
It
you
does.
know, like
I mean, I think if she failed as the character of the movie, it would have been easy to dismiss the movie. But she was, she's charming.
Yeah.
And she's she's a positive superhero. And I think that's what DC
well, her
needs.
character really tied into the plot too. It wasn't just like, oh, plop this character into a movie unrelated to her character. It was very like built around her
But
development.
even by the nature of that movie taking place in like World War One, that movie doesn't feel like it took place in the same world as Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman. It
Yeah,
just,
the only things that tied it together was that scene
Yeah,
at the beginning with
the bookends.
yeah, the bookends.
Yeah.
the Wayne security
And
truck,
those could
yeah.
have been anywhere.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, like time wise or place wise.
Film wise,
Yeah.
it could have been part of any franchise. Could have been a standalone.
Yeah.
like-
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, yes, I mean, that's, a failing... Maybe, so far a failing cinematic universe, which has, like a glimmer of hope, has, a weak pulse, but it's there.
I just don't understand how DC can have film-wise can have so many issues getting their characters right when they have so much source material to pull from. And again, it comes back to the person writing it having no idea
Well, yeah,
about
if you
these
don't look at the
characters.
source material, it doesn't matter how much you have to
And
look at.
I think that's why Wonder Woman's character was so spot on. Was like, did Patty Jenkins write that too?
Was Patty Jenkins around? Was Patty Jenkins the writer of the film? I don't believe so. Or she
she
was
did.
one of the writers. I think there was multiple writers in the
I
film.
thought she wrote it too.
But that's
Dang it.
that's the thing. Like her input was assume like I would think that with a movie like Wonder Woman where they had so much riding on it, like the director would and the writer would take the time to find out about the character, and I think they did.
I think it
And
comes back
shows.
to it, like DC's focus is just on catching up and being successful. And when you're focused on being successful instead of setting out to make a good movie or to
Yeah.
make a good Superman movie, to be like, I really love Superman, I want to make this.
Okay, Wonder Woman's actually written by Alan Heinberg, who's actually a writer for Young Avengers, JLA,
So a comic book writer.
Wonder Woman.
There you go.
Yes, okay.
So a
so,
comic
yeah.
book, you have a comic book writer writing a movie script, and that's why I have hope for the DC movies going forward, because they actually have Jeff Johns, who's the creative director of DC, involved in script
Heinberg was
writing.
actually the producer of the CW's pilot for Wonder Woman, the 2012 one that never went anywhere.
Okay.
So he has history with the character. He obviously cares about the character.
Right.
Right.
So that's good.
What-
Go figure. Yeah.
And that's
Crazy.
like I was saying. That's why I have hope for the DC movies going forward, is because they realize that we can't have scripts written by people who don't know the characters, and they're starting to get the comic book writers more involved, a little bit at least.
Yeah.
And I think
Okay.
that can make all the difference.
That's enough DC. What other
Never
expanded
enough
universe?
DC.
Well, I feel like we're circling the drain here.
Yeah, we've talked about
Like DC
obviously a successful one. We've talked about a successful one, Marvel. A floundering one, DC.
We talked
I
about
think
the dark
the
stuff.
monster universe has, some potential to it. Let's talk about an absolute failure.
Transformers.
I don't even want
You don't even want to go there.
That's a whole episode by itself.
really quick. I don't want to talk about fucking Transformers, but can we say Transformers is a shared universe? Aren't they just all sequels? I feel even if they make a
Yeah.
separate Bumblebee film, I just want to call it Transformers 7. There's nothing so different about any of those characters that they would even qualify as.
No.
No, I don't even want to talk about it for 5 minutes. There's nothing different. There's nothing different enough about any of those characters that I feel that even the term shared universe matters, because they're just all fucking robots fighting each other.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, you could argue that all the superheroes are just superpowered people fighting each other, but they're all have their different tones, their different genres, even their
Yeah,
different
characteristics,
characterizations, their different bad guys. The Transformers movies are just boring and gray and just a jumbled fucking mess across the board.
What I want to see from a Transformers movie is what happens to the Transformers before they come to Earth. I want to see them on Cybertron fighting to save their planet instead of fighting here for some MacGuffin.
For Mark Wahlberg.
For Mark Wahlberg or for Shia LaBeouf. I want to see Transformers where the Transformers come from.
I agree. That's the problem. I don't give a shit about the human characters.
Yeah.
In Transformers. I don't care about any of that. I just care about the robots.
Yeah.
That's all anyone cares about is the robots.
There are a couple of great Transformers games where it shows the start of the Autobot-Decepticon war and their fight on their planet and the destruction of their planet. That's what I want to see in a movie.
I do want to see the Transformers just hard sci-fi films with no humans. Just make cartoons.
And
Just- they're 70% cartoon already. Just
Yeah.
fucking make them cartoons.
I want to see a gritty war movie with Transformers, kind of like Saving Private Ryan style.
Yeah.
Like
Do you
Dunkirk
know-
with Transformers.
Yeah,
that would
do
be
you know what
cool.
I want to see? The Transformers movie explores the duality of Transformers. They're robots and they're trucks. I want to. If they were gonna make this a full-on shared universe, fucking bring in G.I. Joe.
Yeah, that would be
not?
cool. Transformers
So,
versus G.I.
Yeah,
Joe.
the comic was great that came out. It was
Well,
so
and I feel
weird.
like the whole Transformers being like a big franchise and a universe, it like misses the point of even having an expanded universe. Like none of
It's
them
so
have
singular,
anything
yeah.
to do with each other, and like it's not like there's a big overarching story. It's not like there's like a big, oh well, all these characters matter. Like I don't give a shit if it's Shia LaBeouf or Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Like, well, I do, but only because I hate Mark Wahlberg. So it's like, why even bother? Just like make them their own standalone films, and like, hey,
Yeah.
they still have Transformers in them, but like that's the only thread you need to have.
Listen, I would only care if they started bringing in like other Hasbro properties.
They did that in the comic books recently.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
They-
there's a really, really cool, crazy.
It was
fucking,
a crossover with Transformers, G.I. Joe, Micronauts, ROM, and like a couple of the other Hasbro properties.
Mask.
Yeah,
Bring
that was
fucking
one of
Matt
them.
Tracker, man.
That would be a cool shared universe. So,
I would watch that.
so what
That's-
were you gonna say about
Like
a failing?
that's as much as any of us care about Transformers.
Yeah.
Next one.
I-
and it's
Yeah, what is your absolute failure?
It's sad though because I love Transformers. Like I grew up with Transformers. I played with the toys.
Mm.
Like when I really liked the first Transformers movie.
Mm.
After that, it was a total shit show, and it was sad because like this is something I grew up with and I wanted to succeed in. It is failing miserably.
I don't know, I mean, I was never a big, I was never a big Transformers fan growing up. I was always into superheroes. I wasn't really into like Transformers or G.I. Joe or anything. I've kind of like have somewhat of an appreciation now for it. But like even the first Transformers teaser that came out with what, Cloverfield, right?
For the original movie?
The original Transformers. I think the teaser was touched to Cloverfield, and it was just the shot of like the Mars or the moon.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
the rover, and that was like an exciting
Yeah.
teaser trailer. That was great.
Do you
But-
think if they had only made the first Transformers movie, if they hadn't continued with any, we'd all be sitting here like, why didn't they make any more Transformers movies? Like that
Probably.
was great,
Yeah,
and like I
probably.
wish they'd done more like that.
Yeah, probably.
It did really. It had like one of the steepest drop offs in quality. Like I remember enjoying
From
the first
one-
one.
yeah. The
I saw
first
the
one was
first
good.
3, and it was just like even by the second one, you're like, what is
Yeah.
any of this?
I'm not a fan of the first Transformers movie. I mean, even the first one I'm not really a fan of, but like, even as it was like a pure like Michael Bay film, I could appreciate it just being kind of like crazy and exciting. It has this classic Bayhem
Yeah.
directing technique. But I mean, I don't know, just everything else is just so boring, and I'm just stalling. I don't want to talk about the Dark Universe.
We already talked about the Dark Universe.
No, we didn't. We talked about the Monster Universe.
Yeah, so now we got to get to the
Damn same.
They're not the same.
Okay, which one is the Dark Universe?
the Dooku
Dark Universe is
I
the
know.
the Cruiseverse.
Oh, okay.
with the recent Mummy movie.
So what else is even in that? Has anything been made?
Okay, so
I know they're planning to, but what's been released that's part of that allegedly?
I think the Joe Johnson / Mark Romnick Wolfman film was supposed to be the start of it, and
Okay.
it didn't start because that movie was bad.
Sure.
And I think Dracula Untold was supposed to be the start of it,
Mm-hmm.
and then that movie was bad,
And it wasn't.
and so they didn't do anything.
Who's in Dracula Untold?
Luke Evans? No.
Luke-
Is that the guy that was in Beauty and the Beast that played Gaston?
He's
Oh.
a white gentleman.
It is Luke Evans, isn't it?
I think that's what his name is, yeah.
I took a class in college called The Slavic Vampire, and it was dedicated entirely to folklore and movie and TV and book adaptations. Stories that included vampires and like how it evolved over time. I've never heard of Dracula Untold.
It was
Dracula
recent, right?
Unwatched.
And 2014, maybe it came out after.
Yeah, it was recent, but I don't think anybody saw it.
Like
Like
only
it,
2014.
According to
I feel like that movie.
Yeah,
came out
Luke
in, like,
Evans, Sarah
2008.
Dominic.
That's how out of my mind that movie's become.
it was
Like,
just such a bizarre Dracula movie, right? Like it was him before he became a vampire,
it was weird.
like in a war to defend his home. So he became a vampire to save his
Yeah,
family.
he turns into a cloud of bats.
And then he ended. It was so.
Say that
it was
so casually.
so bizarre. I
It's-
haven't seen it in that.
I
It's
have
a
no memory of this,
Dracula
like, coming
movie
out
that
or
made me
anything
long
like
for the days of Bram Stoker's Dracula with Keanu Reeves.
I watched that in that class.
But you know what, man? At least like that movie had like a visual style that I could think about, and I could like recall that movie, and had like very like standout sequences. Like Dracula Untold, I couldn't tell you a fucking thing about it, and they just tried
Cloud of
so
bats.
hard.
So yeah, what other? I interrupted your list of.
And then it's supposed to be all right. So the new Mummy film with Tom Cruise.
Yep.
And then after this, I think it's supposed to be Bride of Frankenstein with it rumored Angelina Jolie.
Yep, I heard about that.
And then, dear God, now they're saying Channing Tatum is Van Helsing.
Invisible Man movie with Johnny Depp
Johnny
is
Depp.
supposed to be in there somewhere. Is what Javier Bardem? Is he
Javier
Frankenstein?
Bardem as
Frankenstein's monster.
Hold on, cutting that pause because I want to make a joke that we have to cut out. Do you think Johnny Depp will play an invisible man who turns invisible so he can beat women? He can, like, get away with it?
Yeah.
Do you think that's going to be the plot?
I'm not,
Cut that!
I'm not cutting that. That's staying in there. That's absolutely staying in.
No, the Invisible Man is just like his current fantasy. Don't look at me.
That's been his fantasy since he started
Johnny
acting.
Depp's Invisible Man will still like wear all the scarves and fucking like thumb rings.
Yes.
You know,
And
Everyone's like, I feel like someone's in the room with us because
And they're
all
just-
of his like accessories are just brushing.
They're just
past
gonna
him.
turn around. There's just like disembodied eyeliner just floating around.
just hear like a
There's like jingling everywhere.
yeah, jingling of like jewelry. But
Yes, I think that's exactly what it's
like a
gonna be
floating pirate hat walks by.
Yeah.
But that universe is really like a case of like biting off more. Like I think that they thought the Tom Cruise Mummy film was gonna be the most fucking like successful,
Yeah, like
awesome
summer
movie.
blockbuster.
And they released that cast photo
Yeah.
of like Javier Bardem and everyone together.
It was Harvey. The photo was Tom Cruise. Was it who's Jekyll? Is it Russell Crowe?
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe, Javier Bardem, and Johnny Depp. It was 4 of them, right?
No, also had the woman that plays the mummy.
Did it?
Yes.
Oh. See, I don't even remember. Like, that's the thing. But like, I just
Sophia
don't.
Botella, the woman from Kingsman.
Okay.
Gazelle, yeah.
I just don't understand. Like, why would you cast Johnny Depp as the Invisible Man? Like,
I don't know why you'd cast Johnny Depp as anything at this point.
But, like,
Yeah.
there are people who have an infatuation with Johnny Depp, and like,
absolutely.
they're not going to want to go see a movie where you can't see him for half
Yeah.
of it. Like, what
Well,
the
I
fuck?
mean, you could make the same argument to double back to Marvel of like, oh, well, why would you cast Robert Downey Jr. as a guy who's in a suit 90% of the time?
Yeah, but in the movies, even when he's in the suit, they do that camera where you see his face like
Yeah.
under the suit.
Well, maybe
sometimes.
Johnny Depp will spend most of his time not invisible.
Eh. But then he's not the Invisible Man. Like,
You know what they'll do? They will do the Kevin Bacon Hollow Man treatment of having him wear like the face makeup.
so
Where
you
it's
can
like
see
Johnny
his
Depp
face.
just under like white makeup so you can see his face.
So like in
League
yeah,
style.
League of
League
Extraordinary
style,
Gentlemen. God.
No, like the biggest fucking problem with this movie is, and it's so frustrating because Universal had one of the first shared universes.
Yeah.
The fucking Abbott and Costello films. Like all these
Or even the-
monsters,
yeah.
they House of Drag, like they interacted, they were together, they like existed. I mean, not in any kind of like sense.
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't like some like hard continuity that anyone's keeping to, but
Well, that's fine to have a sort of lighthearted.
that's fine
shared
too. No, and
universe,
that's
you
okay.
know?
But like this new like idea of a shared universe, and they're not even respecting the print. Like the new Mummy film was horrible. Like
It's
they're
more
not,
of a it's
Yeah.
sort of the same thing as we were talking about with DC. It's like they want to have a shared universe because shared universes are popular right now, and they want to cash in on that and have it be like, well, we're releasing a bunch of seemingly unrelated movies, but we're going to draw in all this audience who wouldn't come see a Invisible Man or a Bride of Frankenstein movie because they saw The Mummy and it's part of the same universe, so they have to see them all.
But they're not even making them horror movies. They're making
Yeah.
them action adventure films. Like,
Well, yeah, because they want to bring in families.
who gives a fuck about families?
I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing what they should be doing. I'm arguing what they are doing, and clearly it's not working. So
yeah, it just it doesn't make sense. It's just a horrible idea.
You could make a horror film. The Brendan Fraser film isn't exactly a horror film, but
It had a
the
couple-
98 Mummy, right? It was 98, I think.
Something like that. But
Like,
it had some horror
That
elements.
had some horror elements to it. It tried to be like somewhat creepy at moments. Had the guy pulling out his eyes. Had the flesh-eating beetles.
Yeah.
Had like the like decrepit mummies. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are a
it
lot
had
of jump
elements in
scares.
there.
Like,
I need to rewatch that movie. I
Yeah,
love that
it's a
movie.
great. And that movie had action adventure elements in it, and it was fun.
With
It was a
some
good
horror.
mix.
but it
But-
just didn't seem like anything from this new Mummy film had horror elements.
No,
at
it
all.
didn't, and it was like just boring.
Yeah.
and-
Like that movie sort of became an expanded universe in the right way, even though it totally went off the rails too. You know, it didn't set out like we're going to be this
Oh,
great
with
big
spin-offs with, like,
franchise.
fucking
Yeah,
Scorpion
it just
King?
had
Oh,
all
yeah.
these spin-offs, and like they just kept making movies because they were successful. They're like,
So what you're saying is Brendan Fraser is indirectly responsible for The Rock's current career.
yes.
Yes.
No, that wasn't what I'm saying, but yes. I don't just like I think that that's a better way to go about having a expanded universe to let it to be like I'm making movies and hey, this one was really popular, let's make more of that and let's see where else we can go within this universe rather than being like I'm going to set out to create the greatest universe and like I'm going to throw all these pieces in together and I don't know how they're going to fit together yet, but like hopefully all of them are incredibly successful because otherwise the entire thing falls apart.
Yeah.
They're like trying to hit pieces from different puzzles together with a hammer.
It's like
It's
if
not
you were
staying.
building a pool and the first thing you did was just like turn the hose on.
Dump a ton of water
Yeah.
onto the lawn.
Like there's no structure and the water's coming, but like and they're like, frantically trying to build
I
the
hope
walls.
we get a pool
like,
there, yeah.
Just digging with shovels really quick and hoping they have something big enough by the time the water shows up.
Yeah. Any other like successful ones you want to talk about so we don't end on a downer note of like everything is terrible and Kyle's childhood is
let's
being
just
ripped
like
apart?
let's just like spitball some really quick ones. I want to get into it, but I think like the Lego universe has the potential
Yeah,
to be like
Lego
a good,
universe. I mentioned that
and
earlier.
I think that's what you're talking about, where it's not like a universe that's necessarily beholden to every like movie in its franchise, but like the spin-off potential is fun for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like fun and goofy, so
And
it
they're
doesn't
fun and
have
goofy,
to.
yeah, like the Batman
everything
film,
doesn't have to have a consequence.
No,
Yeah.
it doesn't. I don't know, I'm trying to think like ones I'd like to see.
Like what's coming up that could be a potential cinematic universe that isn't already.
This is going to be very poorly thought out because I haven't seen the movie or its soon-to-be sequel, but Kingsman, I feel like, would have that potential. That it seems to have set up a very cool, like, premise for a world.
Yeah.
And it seems like the second one is like, oh, and now there's like an American
America
version.
Statesman,
Yeah,
It's like a
so
cross-
it is like
it's like
if you
a-
just kept going with the world like that, not necessarily like going to each country and doing it, but being like, oh, what else are the consequences of this world? What else can be going on here?
It's like a cinematic universe within itself.
yeah.
Fun with that. Can't we just bring that back? Can't we just bring back good sequels?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It does. That looks.
That'd be
I
nice.
saw the new trailer, and that movie looks really good.
Yeah, it looks
Kingsman
fun. And I'd only ever seen The Kingsman recently.
Yeah.
It looked bad to begin with, and I'm not really a Mark Millar fan.
Yeah, I love
Like-
some of his work. Is
Some of his, like, I'm half and half. I think, like, the Kingsman comic's kind of boring.
Never read it.
I like the art. I like Dave Gibbons a lot.
He's very hit and miss with his stuff.
Hit and miss. Miller World's bold claim.
We're getting into-
shared universe. Oh no, that's what he's gonna try to do.
What?
He's
all,
got
like,
is it
like all of his comics, like Kingsman, takes place in the same world as Kick-Ass.
Ew.
and like
See
And
that? I don't
and
need.
what else? Like Jupiter's Legacy.
yeah, Huck and Reborn and all this other
Yeah, and
stuff.
what's the one with the kid that becomes a superhero?
No, not Invincible.
Superior?
Superior, man. I
Maybe?
think that's what it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
Superior.
Which is a cool story, but again, I don't like.
That's
yeah.
exactly.
Alright, we're
the
getting
kind of
into
thing
comic books,
Well,
but-
yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly the kind of thing we don't need, though. We don't need like Kingsman 3 to show up, and it's a crossover with one of
Kick-Ass
those
3.
franchises. Yeah, and it's just like, oh, we're just going to introduce this halfway through. Like,
Yeah.
no, just like deal with your own stuff and play in that sandbox.
What do you think about the? This is going back to TV, but the Walking Dead verse. I mean, I know you don't.
I have never read any of the comics. I watched, I think, the first 3 episodes and never watched it again.
Well,
no, I watched it once at work in like season 4, and I had no idea what was going on.
like the main show is good, and then they came out with Fear the Walking Dead, and it was cool to see the same universe at the start of the outbreak. But I watched the first season and I watched the first episode of the second season, and by that point I just didn't care because like when the second season started, they were already like a couple months into the zombie outbreak, and it just felt like Walking Dead on the other side of the country. Like,
I want.
Well, that's probably just what they wanted to get to because they're like, we made the show because Walking Dead was successful.
Yeah.
So let's make a clone of that. But how
I
can we trick
want-
them into watching it?
But yeah,
Walking Dead shows of different genres. I want Hey, The Walking Dead, which is a talk show that takes place within the world of The Walking Dead. I want,
Is Chris Hardwick also in it?
Yeah, I want Taste The Walking Dead,
a cooking show.
cooking show.
But like,
I want The Walking Dead
Detective show?
detective show. Yeah.
But like the thing
I
with,
like this game. Keep going.
the thing with Fear the Walking Dead is though is they pitched it as like, oh, see how the outbreak started, and like it was like 2 episodes, and then at like the 3rd episode, the outbreak had already started, and it just was Walking Dead again, just like zombies
So-
and
Something great that came out of something really, really, really not great. The one episode of The Gong Show that I watched, the winner was a troupe of ballet dancers who were all dressed as zombies with like full zombie makeup, and their ballet was like in the style of like zombies limping around. I think they were just called Zombie Ballet. It was like really good. That would be one of your spin-off series is what I was gonna get to. I was trying to think of a good
Ballet, The Walking Dead.
I think
Pirouette,
that
The Walking Dead.
I think that if they had wanted to do a Walking Dead universe, they should have just done it all in the same time frame but different parts of the world.
Yeah.
Like because, you have the main Walking Dead, which is 7 seasons in at this point, and they're
8
supposedly
seasons coming out.
8
yeah.
seasons coming out, and they're a couple years into the zombie apocalypse at this point. Fear the Walking Dead, which was at the start of the zombie apocalypse and is maybe a year into the apocalypse at this point. So, and people keep asking, like, is there going to be a crossover between Fear and regular Walking Dead? And everybody's like, well, the chances of that happening are very slim because of the time gap. I'm like, well, if you're going to have a universe, why not do it where they're all at the same time, just different parts of the world? This way there is that potential for crossovers.
They could still do like a mini crossover of like, well, I don't know how tight or The Walking Dead is written, if it really shows like every single minute, but they could do like a Left 4 Dead 2 crossover where they just sort of like meet each other and they're,
But the problem with that is
And then go
because
other ways.
Fear takes place in the past of the regular Walking Dead,
And I think
it
now
spoils Fear.
regular Walking Dead is jumping ahead in time.
Yeah.
oh,
So it's
really?
even more. It'll be even more
Oh,
detached.
yeah.
Yeah,
I remember talking about
because
that trailer.
it'll just spoil Fear. Be like, okay, well, we know this person, and this person lives because they're on regular Walking
The
Dead.
only way they could ever do it is if they cancel Fear the Walking Dead and just bring over the characters that they like. The
Yeah.
Walking Dead. But I think Walking Dead's like. I think Kirkman's talking about wrapping it up now.
No, I just saw a report from today that said that is not true.
Sure.
He confirmed that he does not have plans for it to end.
That sucks.
I mean, I read the comic book, so I'm excited for that. But like, he's said from the beginning that the whole point of The Walking Dead is that, with the old zombie movies, that when the main character died, it was over. But the world still went on and still had to deal with this problem. So the point of The Walking Dead is that if the main character dies, there's other backup characters to continue the story and see how they continue to deal with it.
There are 169 issues in, and Rick's still alive.
Something like that.
Unless he's like, hey, my 200th issue special, Rick dies. Like, but then like you're gonna lose people with Rick, and I'm trying to wrap this up really quick.
Are you?
Because I am. Because we're not now we're talking about fucking Walking Dead and
Sorry.
it's shared universe. God damn it. Like there's a reason like when a movie ends like, oh, but what happens after the movie? It's like, I don't know, they make a sequel or like they don't go on forever and ever and ever. And now like Kirkman's even said like, he's gonna stop killing main characters as frequently because now the people that are alive are the ones that aren't amateurs, they're like the cream of the crop, the best of the best. So they're not gonna make rookie dumb mistakes. I
I think that actually does tie into the shared universe idea. If it is like you have movies and you're, killing off people or they're making it through the movies and presumably getting more talented, it deals with that sort of scaling issue where they have to like deal with bigger problems or it doesn't seem like it's like, okay, well they like saved the planet in, part 2. Now we're in part 5 and they're just like,
I don't know.
yeah, stopping a bank robbery. Like, who cares? So yeah, that's an issue you do run into where it's like, okay, well, when does it end? How do you just wait for it to sort of collapse in on itself? Because the only way it'll end is when it like everyone hates it and it stops making money. You either die the hero.
Or live long enough to become Tom Cruise.
Is that what happened to Aaron Eckhart?
Yeah, became Tom Cruise.
Ugh. Wouldn't wish that fate on any man.
No. Alright guys, so
Let's wrap this shit up. It's
let's wrap it up. Alright. So shared universes, I think.
some good, some bad.
I'm over it.
Yeah, I think unsustainable. Like TV shows, unsustainable after
For
a
the
certain
long term,
point.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like Marvel. I hope they keep making movies. Maybe they could be a little more loose with their movies. They already don't give a shit about the TV shows. They're never going to tie them in.
Yeah.
The movies, Keep making them.
When do you think the Marvel movie bubble will burst? And like people will get so fed up with a
Night
crossover.
Thrasher 5.
next like 2 or 3 years max, I think.
I think because we're going into wave 4.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think by the end of wave 4, maybe start of wave 5, people will be like, okay.
When they retire Cap, well, no, not even this. When they retire Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth and Robert Downey Jr., and it's like the next hot movie is starring like Tom Holland, Benedict Cumberbatch, and like whoever the fuck, like anyone else.
Night Thrasher.
Night Thrasher, yeah.
I think though with those
Channing Tatum is Night Thrasher.
Fuck off. All right, we're done. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll be back later with another episode of Sleepy Nerds Podcast. It is now much later than when we started. Have a good night, everyone.
right.